My name is Philippe Bylock. I'm the writer-director of a film called ORA, O-R-A.
And my name is René Chénier, the producer of ORA, O-R-A, also executive producer for the French animation studio at the NFB.
And we're on Press Plus One and the Canadian film section.
I got a chance to see the film and it was amazing to watch. I've never seen anything like that before. Can you maybe guide me through, where this concept came from and the process?
And the idea was to put together two cameras in such a fashion that had never been put together before. So by putting two infrared thermographic cameras, we were going to look at a reality in 3D that had never been seen before. So as far as we know, ORA is a world technological premiere.
So as the producer on a project like this, when you heard that your director wanted to take two very difficult to access cameras and put them together, was that an enormous challenge for you guys?
Well, of course it was quite a challenge because we couldn't find infrared with high resolution here in Canada.
We really lucked out because finding a number of phone calls led me to him, the chief engineer who designed the cameras. And he, as René says, was really interested in this because, as far as he knew, there had been very, very few, if any, cultural applications to this technology, which is essentially used for military observation, scientific work, medical. We're talking about very, very high definition, very, very heat-sensitive cameras that need to be cooled down with liquid nitrogen to make sure that the actual heat of the workings of the camera don't influence the image making. So it's a little bit like Frankenstein. You're kind of pouring this liquid, and I've never worked, and probably will never work with cameras like that again.
Working with dancers in a genre like this or a medium like this must have been really interesting for you. I think that the challenge for filmmakers shooting dance all the time is to do justice to the choreographer's work. Was that a different challenge working in 3D, or did it kind of free you guys up to do things that you wouldn't normally be able to do?
It's difficult to describe what infrared thermographic imagery looks like, but essentially what you need to understand is that this is the first, probably maybe the last, maybe at least the first film to have been shot without a single light source. There is no electrical sources of light and there's no daylight. So the only light that is in the film is the heat that is emanating from the body. And the body and human skin gives off quite a lot of heat, which is why we get dressed, otherwise we would die of exposure, except in the summer in Toronto. But the human body, and ostensibly a dancer's body, is really quite an interesting subject for an infrared film, because they, first of all, dancers are very fit, so they've got good blood circulation, and their bodies are very expressive heat-wise. And the camera, with its sensitivity, is particularly apt to capturing the subtleties of how heat is distributed through the body.
I think this film is a great example of how the NFB is always trying to lead the way in filmmaking techniques and technology. Can you maybe just explain to me the importance of that and why filmmakers should be pushing for this sort of thing to happen in the genre?
Yes, I essentially pitched a project that could not be made anywhere else than at the Film Board. And I think that the Film Board continues and will continue, and I say must continue to play that role, which is to make films that cannot be made in the private sector and that correspond to what I call research and development. We have enough experience to really follow our intuition in a production and to make leaps sometimes and say, okay, well, we'll see, let's go. And then we adjust once we made the leap. And the Film Board, within limited budgets, the Film Board doesn't have tons of money, but compensates with liberty and freedom to try things out.
It's nice to say that the film was done on the McLaren spirit. Could you imagine Norman McLaren 50 years ago scratching the optical track on a 35 mils film? This was probably very curious, probably very weird at the time, and I consider ORA as being part of that process of creativity, looking for new ways of making different type of film, pushing always the barrier a little bit farther, but to discover the tool that can bring a new type of visual, not effect, just a visual organic spirit in the film, and that was the thing that guided us all along the film. Am I right?